Started off with the fact that I was a devout Muslim, and I was convinced of my belief in Islam. My parents were devout Muslims. My mom was actually the daughter of a Muslim missionary.
Let me point out why I think this is important. Down here in my list of articles, if I can find it here, was an article about the man who was stabbed to death outside of his shop for having wished Christians a happy Easter. And I had seen, there it is, Assad Shah, murdered shopkeeper Assad Shah, was a false prophet according to Muslim group. Here's just one particular thing. And it's a story about this guy that evidently everybody liked this guy. He was extremely friendly. And yet he wished Christians, as a Muslim, happy Easter. And a Muslim murdered him by stabbing him numerous times in the head with a knife. Why did that happen? Why did that happen? It happened because he was an Ahmadi Muslim. He was a part of the Ahmadi community. And I've told you before, the Ahmadi, I have tremendous respect for them. They are peaceful. They are persecuted. But from the Sunni perspective, and I can't speak about from the Shiite, but I would assume so. I would assume the Shiites take a similar view. Because I think they persecute the Ahmadi too. I know the Sunnis do. I know they do in Pakistan and places like that. From the Sunni perspective, they're not Muslims. And the reason's pretty straightforward. They believe there is a prophet after Muhammad. Now they also have one other odd belief. They believe Jesus was crucified, but he didn't die. He didn't rise from the dead because he didn't die, but he was crucified, but he didn't die. And that's oddly the same position that Shabir Ali holds, which makes him very out of the mainstream when it comes to that particular issue. But the finality of the prophethood of Muhammad is so definitional in the Muslim mind as to Muslim identity that if you believe there is a prophet after Muhammad, you're not a Muslim. So in other words, they are viewed by the vast majority of the world's Muslims the same way I would view Jehovah's Witnesses. Why? Because Jehovah's Witnesses deny what? The deity of Christ. What is more definitional to the Christian faith than the deity of Christ? That's why I get so upset when people like Yusuf Ismail, he was on the program recently, he was on Unbelievable recently, they'll talk about Unitarian Christians or Gnostic Christians. They're not Christians. And they would never speak of the Ahmadi as Muslims. So they're inconsistent. They're using different standards, which is the essence of Islamic stuff. So Nabeel says, I was raised as a devout Muslim. My suggestion has been to Nabeel all along, take the one weapon that the Sunni Muslims have against you away from them. All you've got to do is say, I was raised as a devout Ahmadi Muslim. The Sunnis reject us because of this. However, what you need to understand is I believed the Quran was the word of God. I rejected the deity of Christ. I rejected the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. I prayed the prayers. In other words, in everything that is relevant to the denial of the Christian faith, I believed exactly as the Sunnis did in these areas. And so I had to take the exact same journey, despite the fact that I openly acknowledged the Sunnis would reject my using the term Muslim of myself. My community believed that we were solid Muslims, despite that one particular difference. Take the weapon away from them. Just put it out there on the table first thing, and then make it a non-issue, because that's what they keep using over and over again as their one weapon against your sound arguments. So because of that, people say, oh, you've attacked Nabeel Qureshi and all this stuff. No, I've just said I think you need to be straightforward about that and say, hey, here's where I was coming from.
I think Nabeel is comparing, Ahmadiyya Islam with Christianity then, and finding the Jesus of Christianity seems much better.
Well, it's interesting that in his book he doesn't do that.
Okay.
He mentions his Ahmadiyya upbringing, he mentions his attendance at Ahmadiyya conferences and so on, but he does not get to this point of saying, well, what about the promised Messiah, our Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the founder of our movement? Is he Jesus or not? Is he the coming back of Jesus? Is he the Mahdi and the Messiah? He doesn't address that question at all. And to me, it is hard to escape that question. You see, when somebody belongs to a minority, whether a sect or whatever, or they have a particular beef that they're trying to advance, a particular motive or policy or principle and so on that they're trying to advance, well, they know that inside out, and they know how it compares with other belief systems, and they're ready to answer objections. They're ready to defend their minority view against the majority. So if Nabeel was so schooled in the differences between Islam and Christianity and so on, and defending the Islamic faith, he definitely was also schooled in defending the Ahmadiyya faith vis-a-vis the Sunni faith. He would have known something about the claims of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and he either accepted or rejected that. Now, I would have to, in the end, obviously he's rejected that, but there is no place in his book where he compares this founder's claim with Christianity. He just compares Islam, which is known more generally, with Christianity.